Draft Monday. The next hour will be dedicated to Mike Renner's first round mock. This is as of Monday, October 20th. It's subject to change between now and April 2026. I will allow it, but it's always fun to take an early look at the prospects who are popping up in the college football season. Let's welcome in the narrator of the mock draft. We have Mike Renner, who is here with us, and then, of course, Ryan Wilson here to add some color to this conversation. Guys, let's go ahead and get into it, starting with the number 1 overall pick that belongs to the New York Jets. Congratulations. Welcome back into HQ Spotlight on this Mock Draft Monday. We are working our way through Mike Renner's mock draft, and Ryan Wilson is also here with us to help break down some of these prospects. Let's go to the number 9 overall pick that belongs to the Arizona Cardinals, and they will select Utah offensive tackle Spencer Fano. Ryan, you had him as the top tackle, but Mike, why is it consensus, though, that he is a top 10 pick?
It's just because he's good. I mean, you watch his tape, and his run blocking to me is the best in this draft class so far and away. He is a great zone run blocker. He has great feet. He uses his hands extremely well. He can generate force at the point of contact. And yeah, he has short arms. He probably is going to be a guard at the next level. That's why I had Francis Maui-Noa jumping him, because the Giants probably don't really need a guard, whereas the Cardinals do. The Cardinals just need good players along that offensive line. You've seen it take a massive step back without Clayton Adams, their offensive line coach. So getting a guy who is probably the safest thing in this offensive line class is something I'm interested in, even if it's not an offensive tackle. Even if, it's not replacing Jonah Williams, who you just saw get dominated by Micah Parsons on Sunday. So Cardinals just need good players, especially on the offensive side of the ball at this point. Fano's a good player.
Just to clarify, is there a specific position you see him with, tackle,
probably
guard?
Right guard.
Right guard? Okay.
Probably right.
All right, good to know. Let's go to the number 10 pick. Cincinnati Bengals select Tennessee cornerback Jermod McCoy. Mike, way higher on him than you, Ryan, and it's not anything he did recently because he hasn't played. This is spoken from a Tennessee fan who would love to see him in our secondary. What are you seeing, though, from McCoy?
Yeah, and the only reason I had him a little bit lower is because he hasn't played, right, Emily? So he had the ACL in January. We'll see if he comes back this year or not. But his tape is really good. He is physical. He is a long strider. He is great in coverage down the field, and he will come and pop you in run support. And that feels like not only what you would like your cornerbacks to do if you're Cincinnati, but what they have lacked for the most part, unless they're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, apparently. So, yeah, he makes a ton of sense in Cincinnati, where that defense has been beleaguered for years, not just this year or prior years, but it's been that way for quite a while. And we'll see what happens. Like, an ACL is not an end-all, be-all. And if he is healthy enough during the pre-draft process, even if he doesn't play this year, and he tests well and he interviews well, he's going to be a first-round pick. And then the question becomes, as Mike's mock draft alludes, how high does he end up going? Because he has all the physical tools you want in your number 1 cornerback.
At number 11, the Minnesota Vikings select Ohio State linebacker Arvell Reese. How do we think about positional value versus talent upside when we're going for a linebacker here, Mike?
Yeah, it's a difficult conversation with a guy like Arvell Reese because he kind of plays both. You don't see a lot of guys that can bridge that gap, but he can play both off-ball and on-ball linebacker. He can rush the passer, does so at a high level, and not just like he blitzes. This guy goes one-on-one versus offensive tackles and wins consistently. He's got the frame of a defensive end, but he's also a guy that can actually drop into coverage. He can really cover some ground at the second level. So I don't think you want to waste that versatility at the next level. And that's why Brian Flores is like the perfect guy to bridge that gap. That's what he does. He wants fluid players in his front seven and his back seven, but front seven specifically, who can wear a lot of different hats. This is just a match made in heaven. This front seven's already very scary. If you added Arvell Reese to it, it would be amongst the best in the NFL.
Yeah, Brian Flores not necessarily making this pick, but I'm sure he would be 100% on board if that's who the front office decides to go with. Let's go to number 12. Chicago Bears select Clemson edge T.J. Parker, second Clemson defender off the board. I would love to ask you, Ryan, how they have a losing record this season, but I have to ask, what are your thoughts on Parker as a prospect?
Oh, he's electric, and he is a high motor guy with a ton of juice coming off the edge. And it's funny, you think about him and Peter Woods, and you compare him with Brian Brzee coming out and Miles Murphy. They're better than Brzee and Murphy, and Brzee is a really good football player. Murphy's growing into that role. And even going back a little further, Christian Wilkins and Cleve Farrell, this group is better than that group in my opinion as well. So they're both going to be first-round picks. They both could very, very easily be top 12 picks here. And in Chicago, Montez Sweat will be getting some help on the other side with TJ Parker, who is as juiced up as they come coming off the edge. Again, not a great season for Clemson, but I don't think that's necessarily a poor reflection on the two guys we've talked about here, and Woods and Parker, and more an issue with the overall direction of that program's going, if you ask Dabo about it.
Yeah, we'll ask him about it later. Let's continue to go through this mock draft. At number 13, the Washington Commanders, another edge. They'll select Texas Tech edge David Bailey. He was not in Ryan's first-round mock that we did 2 weeks ago. He had the other edge, Romello Height. So how do you maybe compare these two? I'm sure they'll get compared and contrasted next spring.
Bailey's just a little bit more tuned up, and I think he has a little bit more prototypical size, but you're drafting him to be a pass rush only kind of guy. And if you're the Commanders, that's what you need. You need someone who can attack opposing quarterbacks. They are kind of old and slow in that front seven, and it shows because Dan Quinn wants athletes like this. He wants to stunt guys. He wants to create chaos with that front seven. They just can't do it on a consistent basis. Bailey can, leads the FBS with 48 pressures, leads the FBS with 10.5 sacks. That's the kind of guy you want when you got Jaden Daniels on the other side of football.
Certainly. Number 14, the Dallas Cowboys will select Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love. We are already seeing what last year's first-round pick is doing immediately for the Raiders. So what do you anticipate seeing from Love as a rookie, Ryan?
I love this pick, and you might say, well, the Cowboys need help defensively. Apparently they can win games without Micah Parsons, and they have another first-round pick by virtue of that Micah Parsons trade. And after what Jeremiah Love did to USC, and we've seen glimpses of that throughout the season and his career, it certainly makes a lot of sense that he would land in Dallas, notwithstanding the fact that Javonte Williams is suddenly playing like he's at UNC again the last few weeks. But you can never have enough running backs. Dak Prescott is playing at MVP level. George Pickens might be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. So if you can't stop him defensively, score 44 points. And that's what Dallas did yesterday against the Commanders. And Jeremiah Love certainly helps you get there because not only can he run the ball at a high clip, and again, we saw that Saturday, but he is a threat out of the backfield as a receiver as well. So I have no issue with this pick. 14 feels like it might be too low when you watch Love play, especially as you mentioned, Genty with 6 overall last year. And I think the Cowboys offense somehow gets better with the addition of Jeremiah Love.
There you have it. The first running back is off the board in Jeremiah Love. Let's recap those picks before we move on to the next section. We got a pair of edges as well. A linebacker, a corner make up the defensive picks, and a solid tackle from Utah, Spencer Fano, going to the Cardinals. All smart picks, but let's get some playmakers out there. 3 receivers will be taken in the next part of this mock draft, so find out who goes where when Mock Draft Monday continues right here on CBS Sports Network. Back here on HQ Spotlight, working our way through Mike Renner's mock draft. Ryan Wilson here to add some color to the conversation. And guys, we're starting back up at number 15. That's where the Rams